good, Brendo.
All right, welcome to Hold My Banner. Glad you could join us. Adam Pellerin and George Bellecci reunited once again. Talk some basketball. What's up, my man?
Doing good, pals. Doing good. I know it's like the thick of it all on like NFL season's ramping up. Obviously, you know the run that the Sox are getting on. This is what I love is like the waves you get in Boston when it comes to sports. It's not waves, actually. It's just like a constant current of excitement and relevant teams and success. Like the Celtics obviously won it all in 2024. We come down off that high this past summer, but now it's the Red Sox, you know, contending for an AL East crown. It's the Red Sox and Patriots and Drake May ramping up. And then, okay, so when the current on the Celtics slows down, obviously in a retool, we'll call it, with no Tatum, we got a lot that we're going to be talking about that I'm excited about, like how this team quickly will get back to the mountaintop.
Yeah, there's a lot of intrigue with the Celtics going into the season, to say the least. You could say the same about the Bruins after the year they had. They're in sort of a retool mode, right? So there's been a lot of discussion on Hockey Hub, on our Nesson channels, and on Hold My Banner. There's a lot of talk about the Celtics because, to your point, Jayson Tatum is done for probably the year. Maybe he comes back at the end of the year. That's a topic of discussion as well, whether or not that would be a good thing for the Celtics to do. And then what the roster looks like. So what we've been doing really over the course of the summer, you know, we've been talking about these mock fantasy trades, and we're going to do that again today. Another one popped up, which is an interesting one. And so we'll get into that. We'll get into some other potential roster fits for the Celtics, including a player that popped in the summer league in Charles Bassey. Would he be a good fit for the roster? There's thoughts that he was going to be playing overseas. May not be the case. Some NBA news as well. The downfall of the Sixers has been delicious. If you're a Celtics fan and they're an intense rival, you kind of, you know, mock the trust the process thing, because that the process has been dead for a long time now. Big contract in San Antonio, and then some potentially big news with the Connecticut Sun. Could they be moving to Boston? So we'll get into all of that, but let's start with that mock trade proposal. This is an interesting one, George, right? Because, you know, again, we've been talking about different ones over the course of the summer. You know, whether it's Giannis or somebody else. Well, this one was proposed by Matt Moore of Fansided. And the Celtics in this situation will be dealing with the Utah Jazz. They would acquire Lauri Markkanen. The Jazz would get Anthony Simons, Sam Hauser, George Niang, Xavier Tillman, 2027 first-round pick swap, top 10 protected, and a 2030 first-round pick, top 3 protected. So that's the trade proposal. And again, you know, I'm not a capologist. Let's just assume that this works. And I did try to crunch some of the numbers. It looks like it does, based on the fact that the Celtics are now under the second apron. Because they can aggregate trades now and contracts and salaries and things like that, and they can send money as well. The only caveat here is that Niang can't be dealt until September 7th in terms of being a part of a larger deal. Let's just assume this deal is made on September 8th then.
Love it.
As far as the players go, do you like the deal for the Celtics?
You know, how far into looking at this trade, Adam, did it hit you that we will be dealing with Danny Ainge if we're the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, that's a good point. And Austin.
Oh gosh, Danny and Austin, father and son. But that's what I'm thinking. First things first with this deal is you're dealing with a guy that knows how to win every single trade. But in the case of the Boston Celtics, like, I think Sam Hauser has hit his peak as a player. Really good three-point shooter. Obviously, he was playing injured in the postseason. Wasn't as his best. But a guy that you want to be a microwave. You know, come off the bench, score quick, get hot, and then sit down. Just when his number's called, score. Anthony Simons, good piece, young, but can get expensive. Well, George Niang, Xavier Tillman, I mean, those are bench pieces. That's like depth, if anything. And I do love that the first-round pick in 2027 is top 10 protected. If it was unprotected, it'd be like, okay, what do you get back in Lauri Markkanen? I mean, this is a guy when at his best, and not dealing with the Jazz team that's trying to rebuild, is averaging 20 points, 8 rebounds, shooting 48% from the floor, can shoot from 40%, and is a really good free throw shooter. And he's just 28. So then you have a guy that can protect the rim, is a good rim runner, can add some spacing, is a good defensive like wing and big as well. Someone that's a good all-around player. And again, 28. So 28 years old for Lauri Markkanen this upcoming season. Jayson Tatum won't be 30 by the time he's fully back. Jaylen Brown will be 31, I believe, like maybe just turning 31. Again, with all these timelines out there, I like this deal because I don't see Anthony Simons on this team past the trade deadline. So if it was September 8th and we get this done before the season begins, that's a good piece to have learn next to Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, as they're rebuilding, as Jayson Tatum is rehabbing, and as his team is just trying to figure out how to get back under that second apron, the first apron, deal with all the tax issues. I do like this deal just because I feel like you're getting a good piece back while you are acquiring a big in Lauri Markkanen. Now, there is that, okay, how does that affect the wings? How does that affect like a Jordan Walsh and Nemish Queta, different position guys? More Jordan Walsh is closer to a Markkanen. But it's at the end of the day, you need solid pros, good vets. I like adding a Markkanen. And I just, again, does this change their trajectory when Jayson Tatum's back? Yeah, I like a Markkanen in a high-stakes setting more than Sam Hauser, George Niang, Xavier Tillman. Maybe I would miss Anthony Simons, but that's a guy that's going to get really expensive really quick. Like with this new age, with the second apron era of the NBA, I think this is a good deal, Adam, not going to lie.
I love it. I love it for the Celtics. I mean, you just traded away Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, this is basically Kristaps Porzingis and younger, right? Slightly younger. And Kristaps Porzingis in the sense that he has trouble staying on the floor, too. That's the only downside of things when it comes to marketing. But I love it for the Celtics. They don't have any stretch bigs now. You know, they don't have anybody that can stretch the floor like marketing can. I mean, he's 7 feet tall, just like Porzingis, over 7 feet. Al Horford's gone. Porzingis is gone. You know, and again, Luke Cornett was a body inside. He's gone. You replaced him with, you know, some more traditional bigs, right? And Luke Garza. Kate is still on the roster. Xavier Tillman is not a 5. He's more of a, you know, he's a guy who could play that position, but you need that. You need size, regardless if it's marketed or not. You need to add some size to this roster. But I'm looking more, and I've said this on prior episodes, you know, with Ante and with you probably as well. This is not about next season for me at all. This is all about 2 years from now when Jayson Tatum comes back into the fold. And I think that you alluded to that in your answer as well as to whether or not you like the deal. I like Markkanen as a fit because I liked Porzingis as a fit with Tatum and Brown and White and Pritchard. And so Markkanen, I feel like would be a great sort of replay. I mean, that would be brilliant in some ways, I think, right? If the Celtics were able to make that work, it's like, all right, we're going to trade away Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, get under, because we're not competing next year. We'll get under the second apron. We'll give us some, and then all of a sudden you have Markkanen under contract for another 4 years, right? Because he's got 4 years left on that. He signed the extension last year, a 5-year extension. He got 4 years left on it. And now you got Markkanen for this year coming up, and then 3 after that. And that is in line with, you know, with having Tatum, with having Brown, with having White. You know, all of a sudden you're back to, oh my gosh, you're championship contenders again. Yeah,
and that's where it all times out. Where we love this team in the construction now with the Drew Holiday in the fold, of course, right? And you mentioned Kristaps Porzingis and the Al Horford, the role he plays. But a Markkanen, again, with the team you trust in the draft and development. It's also, I say this with everything too, like this would be the move, right? And then when Tatum returns, like that wouldn't be the roster. Like Brad Stevens makes multiple moves happen. He pushes it at the trade deadline. And we've seen where he goes in on the trade deadline, even if the team isn't legitimately in contention to win it all that year, because he knows you get someone in now, you won't get a shot at them when it comes to the summer or later down the road, and they get in the system. I like this deal. I think it's a good big 3. The thing with Markkanen, though, is he is on the books. Now, I don't want to get into the taxology of it, but it's 43, 46 million. He's extension eligible, and he could be making a lot of money. Then it does become 2 Supermax players. Markkanen making, let's say, around $50 million. That is a lot of money. But again, when Tatum is back, who knows what this roster looks like? And that even can be a Markkanen comes in, you traded Jaylen Brown, you bring in more depth pieces, and it's also stuff where you bring in really good players for JB, and then again, you build it around more spacing, more shooting around Jayson Tatum. That's a back and forth. It's in 2027, how do they look? Because who is around Jayson Tatum if Jaylen Brown is there? And also like their draft picks, how are they panning out? Is it Hugo Gonzalez now an NBA player? Is it Nemish Queta playing more minutes? Is it Jordan Walsh finally an NBA player as well? We'd see.
Yeah, and again, you know, there's also a question about Tatum when he comes back. Is he going to be the same player right away, right? You know, is he going to need time to regain that form? The answer is likely yes, despite the fact that, you know, he is set up for success in terms, this is a devastating injury, no question about that. But what sets him up for more success than maybe somebody else, an older player, is the fact that he's got youth on his side, right? And the reports are that he's progressing nicely, from his surgery and in the sort of rehab and recovery process. But you're gonna need other guys to sort of pick up the slack, I think, right out of the gate when he comes back, and to have another scoring option, a potent. I mean, this is a guy in Markkanen who scored over 20 points. I mean, last year was a down year for him. He scored nearly 20 points per game. So you're going to need somebody that's able to pick up the slack, and I think Markkanen can do that. Now, in terms of the Jazz, they're in rebuild mode, straight rebuild mode. They just drafted Ace Bailey. They have a lot of young players on the roster. Markkanen, would be an older guy on this roster. You bring in somebody like Anthony Simons, whether or not he's going to be in the plans moving forward for the Jazz. It's still maybe a better fit at this point than Markkanen is because he's a little bit younger. I like this move for the Jazz too. You get rid of that salary. You get Simons, who's expiring. You can do what you want there, and you got a couple of draft picks because again, you're in rebuild mode.
Yeah, and that's where, when you look at it for the Jazz, they can still build around Isaiah Collier, Keontae George, Cody Williams. You said it with Ace Bailey. They would have an Anthony Simons, and that all of a sudden clogs it. Like, how many guards do you have? How packed is this backcourt? Right. But then that's something where they can take an Anthony Simons, and it sucks. It's part of the business. But this is a guy that can go from Boston to Utah in September, let's say. And then come February, he ends up going from Utah throw out a team that's on the cusp of contending and maybe on the outside looking in. San Antonio will be better than that, but he could end up in San Antonio. And they keep getting draft picks back, and they might keep accruing them that way. If you could get 2 first-round picks for Lauri Markkanen, one in 2027, only top 10 protected, like that would be a win for them because you bank on the Celtics, even as banged up as they may be, even with no Jayson Tatum and see when he would return, they'd be better than the 10th worst team in the NBA when it comes to finishing in that way. And they would do better. And you don't think they would finish up that high in the lottery. It's a bit of a gamble for Utah, but it works for them in the rebuild. I just see them saying yes to this because what would be a return equal to this with the Lauri Markkanen, especially a first round pick and someone like Anthony Simons? If he works out great, you could trade one of your young guards or you flip Anthony Simons and you can get maybe some front court depth back that's younger and cheaper than a Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, Markkanen isn't just. I don't think he's the guy that you build around if you're Utah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a sort of a high end complementary piece. I don't think he's the centerpiece of that Utah team. And we all know how much Danny Ainge loves draft picks, right? So he's going to add some to his war chest and make the next move from there. So I love this deal. Who knows if it'll happen? Probably won't, but it's a lot of fun to talk about. And that's what we've been doing all summer. And speaking of the Celtics roster, there could be a more likely signing, maybe. A guy that we saw in the summer league, and Charles Bassey, who definitely popped. Could he be a fit for the Celtics roster? We'll talk about that next. Adam and George back here with you on Hold My Banner. So, Celtics summer league action. We saw some players pop. Jordan Walsh, I think, was pretty good. Baylor Shireman is another player that could be in the mix. A lot of hot eyes on Hugo Gonzalez as well. And so those were sort of the players that I think most fans were paying attention to going into the summer league. I don't think many fans were like, man, I can't wait to see what Charles Bassey looks like. But as it turns out, he was a player that popped for the Celtics and only played 3 games during the summer league and then went back overseas. And the thought was that he would re-sign with the team overseas and would not be in the NBA this season. And so with that, we bring you this. Celtics Muse tweeted this: Charles Bassey would especially love to sign with the Celtics if the opportunity presented itself. And so the Celtics do have that open roster spot after waiving J.D. Davidson, but then they sign another player, George. If they go to that 15-player roster, they'll be over the second apron. And so there's the rub right there. But did you get a chance to see Bassey play during the summer league at all? And what were your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I liked him. Big 6'10", big. Moves well for 230, like not quick, but is athletic. Good rim protector as a shot blocker. Good in the pick and roll. Doesn't have a shot at all. He's a small ball 5 in a way, and I just say small ball 5, like He's not the most athletic, but he has a good size to him. So he could just play the 5 straight up. I just do worry about him offensively and defensively, like just getting lost if he's out on the perimeter. But he's smart. He could be a rim runner. He's just 24 years old. And it sounds crazy. I'd rather have him on the floor, I think, than a Luka Garza. I think Luka Garza, as his shooting is good, but that dude is slow, and doesn't have any athleticism. But it kind of goes into okay, say if we see a big swing trade, like the one we just floated through, where Hauser, Anthony Simons, blank players, let's go 4 players are off the books. Then a guy like a Charles Bassey is on the roster. I just love the wording on the report. What was it? He's interested. He would love to sign with the Celtics if the opportunity. I would love that too. I would love to make NBA money as a player if the opportunity presented itself. Like Charles Bassey, good for you, man. I mean, just manifest it, speak it into happening. But the Celtics, their priority this season is business. It's not basketball. Bassey makes sense as a fit, but they need to stop with the apron talk, and they need to stop with all these taxes. The fact they waived a J.D. Davison, that's a guy that showed a lot of promise. They're getting serious about it, and I just don't see Bassey as being someone they would, push themselves over the top and start paying a luxury tax penalty for.
Yeah, it has to be worth it, right? And when it's worth it is when you're competing for a title, I think, right? Like the Celtics had been the last couple of years. And so a guy like Charles Bassey, with all due respect, is not a player you sign to go over the apron because it's not going to move the needle. I mean, he's nothing more than a depth piece. And I understand that the Celtics need size. They need to address that because, obviously of what they lost in trading Kristaps Porzingis. Al Horford, is gone. Luke Kornet's now with the Spurs. We'll talk about the Spurs actually a little bit coming up. But, you have Keita and you have Garza. And, that's really about it outside of Tillman, maybe, giving you some size. But I'm okay with that, I mean, I'm all right with that based on, what we talked about is the fact that the Celtics aren't competing this year. And I think what's more important is to stay under that second apron. And then if a deal arises, you have the flexibility, the mock trade that we talked about with Markkanen, some other, mock trades that, have come up as well. You can't move, you can't aggregate these deals if you're not under the second apron, right? And that's important to point out. And so, if you wanted to trade a guy like Simons, it would have to be just him. If you're over the second apron, if you're under the second apron, you can combine, you can throw Niang in there. You can have Simons and another player. So Bassey's not the type of guy, that you sign. I don't see it making a lot of sense. A good energy player, maybe he catches on somewhere else. I just don't think Boston is the fit.
I think if Xavier Tillman's off the roster, then you bring in a Charles Bassey. But he's just similar skill set to Xavier Tillman. And they're in part two. If they feel like the ship sailed on Xavier Tillman, he is what he is. You like Bassey, you bring him in. But then he could end up clogging minutes and taking away minutes from an Amari Williams. This is going to be a development season for them, Adam. And they'll probably want to play Amari Williams more, especially at the price, than pay tax and see how someone plays. Him and Jordan Walsh, completely different players. Him and Luka Garza, completely different skill set, completely different players. Him and Xavier Tillman, similar. Nemish Keita has more bounce than him. It's just a matter of what's their preference on who they want to see. They got to look at him at Summer League, and it's just what's the priority for them? And again, the priority is money and making it make sense, and they want to be back in contention. The priority for them isn't Charles Bassey minutes. And I feel bad talking about the guy, but it's this report comes out, and it's great. He would love to sign with the Celtics if the opportunity presented itself. Same, dude. I would love to date Emily Ratajkowski back in the day when I was single. I
was going to say, hey.
Oh, I'm so happy now.
I know your fiance is a big fan of Hold My Banner, so I would be careful.
Yeah, exactly. But and that's it. When I just love these reports. I just love these. I would love to win the lottery if the opportunity presented itself. I really would. Mm-hmm. We'll see if it happens. Yeah. We'll see if the lottery wants me to win it. It's shout out Charles Bassey. I hope he makes a good run, dude. But I don't know. It's fun. It's summertime Celtics we're talking right now.
It is summertime Celtics, and and again, it tells you where we're at with this team that we're talking about Charles Bassey, right? Because it's, there's no Jayson Tatum coming up this year, and you got Jaylen Brown. I mean, again, we have talked about this. What will Jaylen Brown look like this year? He's the man now. Will Peyton Pritchard be the starting point guard of this team? Probably, after being sixth man of the year. I mean, those are the sort of the bigger topics. But then on the margins, you're looking at filling out the roster. You're looking at potential fits. You're looking to give guys an opportunity. This is what this season is going to be, and I think you alluded to it as well, is looking at some of these younger players, giving them an opportunity. The opportunity is going to present itself. It's up for grabs. Minutes are up for grabs, and that's why we talked about Jordan Walsh and Baylor Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez in the Summer League, because they have a real opportunity to play, especially the Jordan Walsh and the Shiremans, right? Because, there's going to be opportunity without Jayson Tatum on the floor to grab those minutes. And also, depending on what this Eastern Conference looks like, the Celtics might, I think they'll compete for a playoff spot, even with Tatum out. But there's going to be times where it's just like, oh man, like, you just want to see the young players play, and you don't want, any injuries to happen like with Jaylen Brown or anything like that. So, but anyway, let's move on to Jayson Tatum. Speaking of, this was interesting from Steve Bulpett, the possibility of Jayson Tatum playing next season. And this is a tweet that was put out by NBA Central. Possibility of Jayson Tatum rejoining the Celtics late in the regular season has not been ruled out. Scouts say he's moving really well at CP3's camp. And again, the quote here, I'm no doctor, but I've seen guys coming back from Achilles tears, and he looked way ahead. Kind of shocked to see how he was moving. No idea what this means. And it goes on to talk about, didn't do any running or jogging. I mean, that's kind of a big thing in basketball, is running.
A little bit.
But, I mean, that is good news, and that's a lovely picture with he and Chris Paul, who, by the way, I mean, is with the Clippers again, which is kind of crazy. Like, that team is like 100 years old. Yeah, wild. But anyway, I digress. Would you be in favor of Jayson Tatum returning to the team next season if he's healthy?
Absolutely not. I've been on this from the beginning. Yeah. What's the point if your priority is a business and it's basketball? Part of that business is having Jayson Tatum at his peak for as long as possible, not in his season, but in his career. And cool, he's not wearing a boot. I saw you posted on Instagram like a golf photo shoot with Jordan, but like I don't know when those pics were taken, but he wasn't in a boot. Awesome. But like, don't rush back too soon. Again, I'm not worried about his long term. You said his age, Adam. It's also his game. Like, yeah, he's athletic, right. He can dunk, but his game doesn't rely on being above the rim. Like, he doesn't rely on being the best athlete on the floor. He has really good technique and fundamentals on both ends. That's what's great. And he's big and he can move well and he's strong. I just don't want to rush him back because he's so young and he has so many years left of peak basketball. If he's good to go at the end of the season, awesome. I'm not putting him on the floor for a second. It's just, I want that recovery as close to 100% as possible. And even if they're vying for a playoff spot, Jayson Tatum back after a year from his Achilles, like that's not a Celtics team. If Jaylen Brown's 100% as well and playing, that's not a team that's a contender to me because of their roster and because of what Jayson Tatum would be. He could be ready. Awesome. If I'm the Boston Celtics, I'm going to him like, look, man, you are the most valuable player on this team. Just wait till next season. It sucks, but we want to get back to contending year after year as soon as possible. And if you rush him back, you just jeopardize all of that.
It's a huge risk. It is, even if he gets 100% clean bill of health, depending on when that is. Question is, though, all right, again, hypothetically, let's say he is way ahead of schedule. Like, we're talking like, oh, man, he's getting cleared to play in, like, post All-Star break, like February-ish, right? I mean, at that point, you still have like 2 months left in the season. Now, if he's getting cleared then, that tells you that maybe he is ready to play, right? Because if he's getting cleared in like April, let's say, at the tail end of the year, there's only 1 or 2 games left, they make the postseason or play-in tournament or whatever, wherever they're at, then you kind of hesitate and be like, I don't know, do you really want to put him in that situation where, they're in a playoff play-in tournament situation? But if he's cleared in February and he's way ahead, and there's 2 months left and he's just sitting there, maybe you consider it at that point.
You put me in a tough spot, Adam. I get it. I see it. I see the vision. Yeah. And also, if you know he's clear to play come February, again, that's right around the NBA trade deadline, you could go all in. And you can, if you like what you see from Anthony Simons, you keep him. If you don't like what you have from George Niang and you have draft picks, again, you can flip that and get it. Because that ramp-up period at that point, to me, is enough where he's getting ready for playoff basketball, the intensity of it, but also the chemistry. Like, there will be a part missing. It's like you say, Peyton Pritchard could be a starter. Okay, it's a different role if he's on the floor with the Jays a lot more minutes. Look, if he's clear to play February, like, how do you not tell the guy to play basketball? Like, I'm going to get on here and be like, the best thing for basketball is to not play Jayson Tatum when he's been cleared for 2 whole months, like you said, and then the playoffs. I can't in my gut say that. I can't genuinely say still bench him. I don't think he'll be at that point, but I think that's a great hypothetical. You float, because what is that? 8-9 months is the range he was given. And when he went down, you did that. All right, what's 8-9 months from now? That looks like it could be February, March. It's what his dad put out there. I just don't want to rush the guy back. And I know he's taking his rehab serious. Like, there were the reports that his personal trainer, Nick Sang, he's either working out at the Boston Celtics facility every day, or if he's traveling, his trainer, Nick Sang, is with him, helping him rehab and recover. He's taking it serious. Love it. I want the long-term Jayson Tatum. Maybe I'm a curmudgeon. I'm on to the 2026, 2027 season.
I am too. I'm with you. I'm just thinking of that possibility because it seems like he is ahead of schedule, way ahead of schedule. And again, like the CP3 camp thing, great. He looks good. He hasn't run yet, but it does feel like he's going to be ready earlier than we all think he is. And I also think one of the benefits of him returning next year is that, you know what? He can work out all of the cobwebs, right, of returning to basketball, getting back into playing shape, because that's going to be a factor when he does return. And if it is the following season, there's going to be a period of however long that is. You can't put a timetable on that where he's not quite Jayson Tatum, and it's going to take him a while to get to that level. But if he comes back a little bit earlier, the season before, and he's working through it the prior season where the Celtics really aren't championship contenders, maybe they make a little bit of a playoff run, he'll be better off for that from a playing perspective the following season when you have a healthy roster and you have, all right, now we're all in, now we're going, and we have, if not 100% Jayson Tatum in terms of what he was before the injury, you're going to be a lot closer than you would have been if he didn't play the prior year, right?
Yeah, I mean, the ramp up matters, all of that, and like him getting back to real basketball as soon as possible. With Achilles in the long term, how far that surgery has come, how young he is, it's just like you rush him back and you jeopardize it. It could be like, for what, right? Like worst case scenario. But he's a guy that's always been healthy. He's always been available. That's an underrated part of his game, of him not being with the team this season. I did, again, love that part of the reports. Like, he looks great. He wasn't running or jogging, but he looks great.
Right.
And there's a concern. Does he put on bad weight, but he's taking the rehab serious and doing what he can? He looks great. I didn't see him even like ramp up from a really slow walk, but he looks really good. Maybe he's on an NBA floor. It's like, let's just temper it.
Yeah, I know.
Don't say anything. That's my big thing on it. Don't say anything. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised in February than really disappointed in April.
This is all we're going to be talking about, though. That's going to happen, fine. Right?
No,
any sort of video that we see of Jayson Tatum, any tweet, anything that comes out, people are going to be like, oh, Jayson Tatum might be back earlier. Oh, look at the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference is weak. Look at this. Oh, the Celtics they were the fourth seed. Is the season ended? All of that. Get ready for it, man. Get ready for it, because it's definitely going to happen. You know what else you got to get ready for?
What's that?
How about the Hold My Banner merch, buddy?
Hey.
The Hold My Banner merch is here. It's officially here. You can pick it up at the NessonWickedWearables.com site, where you can get all of your Nesson swag. I know you got a Hold My Banner, don't you? Do you have a Hold My Banner shirt?
Yeah. I have a Hold My Banner shirt, Rush shirt, Boston is in the chat. I need to get a Hockey Hub shirt, but they ran out of all the schmediums, and they were like, Adam got them all. I was like, oh, of course. Damn it, Adam.
I did, yeah. So what I've done is some of the sleeves I keep on, some of the sleeves I cut off. I work out in some. Some of them, it might be a more formal occasion, so I'll have the short sleeves. But yeah, I bought up all of those. The first one, I got for free. The other ones, I had to buy. But I got to get on the, I got to get a chat one. I got to get all of them. But if you want to get one, you can. You can get hoodies too, by the way. NessonWickedWearables.com. All right. We're going to go to break. We'll come back. Some NBA news that we want to get to, including Joel Embiid and De'Aaron Fox and his new deal. That's next. Welcome back. Hold my banner, George and Adam, and look at this about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, there's genuine concern about the health of his knee. This is from Brett Siegel. Man, I hate to say it, but you kind of saw this coming. This is a guy that's just dealt with this issue throughout his entire career. It's gotten worse and worse as the years have worn on, as the wear and tear has taken its toll on Joel Embiid. You wouldn't be surprised, George, if this guy's career is close to over at this point.
Yeah, and it sucks to see. He's so talented. Like, when he's on the floor, you could say he's the most talented player in the league. And I do say that while we see Jokic every night, but it's his size, his athleticism, his skill set. But more from that report from Brett Siegel was he's been struggling getting back on the court this offseason. There's a growing concern he will not be ready for the start of training camp. Common word associated with Embiid and his health this offseason is that things are, quote, bad. For like this to get out and that be the report is a lot. Yeah. He's also had 2 meniscus surgeries in the last 18 months. He can't stay on the floor. He should have never played in the Olympics last summer. He got back way too fast. There's a guy that wants to play ball and he loves it. And there was also the ESPN article that did a great job. Like, they sat down with him, his suburban Philadelphia home. And one of the quotes and excerpt was saying that he's in the middle of what he's rightly calling the most important offseason of his life, rebuilding his body again, preparing to launch into what he hopes will be, if all goes well, his final chapter as an elite level player. That came out before this report did. So this was the most important offseason of his life, and things are bad right now. It's just like, it's magnified and multiplied red flags. You hate to see it happen to him. But like you said, like, I'm not shocked because he's been snake bitten. He missed his rookie year because of his foot. And he's not a 70, 60 game player, let alone 82 game season player either.
19 games last year, 39 games the year before, it's getting worse and worse with the injuries. And to your point, he was never a guy that was going to play 70, 80 games on the reg. He's 31 years old. He's going to be 32 in March. He's a big man. Those types of injuries, they don't go away. And we've seen it. There are countless examples of players over the years who once this injury happens, they're not the same. Even look at KG. KG had the knee injury, in 2009. He was 31 years old, I think, 31, 32 years old. A different type of injury, but he wasn't the same after that. He played, but he wasn't the same. But with Embiid, it's even worse. And just to think of the Sixers' big picture, right? Since the famous trust the process thing from Sam Hinkie, back in 2013. With the both those guys missing their rookie years, and I'm talking about Ben Simmons as the other guy, drafting Jahlil Okafor with the number 3 pick in the draft, and then the big one, of course, that Celtics fans hold near and dear to their hearts is Markelle Fultz, right? And trading for Markelle Fultz, and now we have Jayson Tatum dealing with the injury of his own, but obviously with the title and plenty of promise for the rest of his career. But yeah, it's a really bad situation, and the Athletic has a great article of just documenting the Sixers' history and how it's fallen so far. And last year was rock bottom, really, with 24 wins under Nick Nurse. But in terms of Embiid, and there's a question whether or not he plays at an elite level again, or how much he can play moving forward. Is he a Hall of Famer? With the numbers, and you look at some of the numbers that he's put up. He's got 450 games or so. He's an MVP, 5-time All-Star, or 5-time NBA, 7-time All-Star. There's precedent of guys who didn't play a ton of games that are Hall of Famers, like Bill Walton or Ralph Sampson is another guy. Big men, by the way. is he a Hall of Famer with that resume?
Bill Walton's won rings. Ralph Sampson, I don't know off the top of my head if he's won rings. This guy hasn't made like deep playoff runs or an NBA Finals appearance. Like, eventually you got to have rings to show for it. Is he an all-time talented player? Yeah. Is he one of the most talented to ever step on the floor? Yeah. I can't bring myself to say he's one of the best players of his generation because, again, he was never available. And that has to be part of value with a player. Because if like being the most talented would get you into the Hall of Fame, I mean, Brandon Roy would be there. Penny Hardaway would be in the Hall of Fame, right? Like Tracy McGrady would be in the Hall of Fame. Like, those are the guys that would be there. It's just I cannot with him. I think he's a great player. Basketball is better when he's on the floor. He's so damn impressive. But like you talk about the process, there's the Markelle Fultz. Like, he forgot how to play basketball. Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. Like, that's a starting five of guys that, like, the hype coming out, like, all of those guys were all NBA or saviors and none of them panned out. I cannot bring myself to say he's a Hall of Famer. What do you think, though?
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. And, you know, the names that we mentioned, Bill Walton and Ralph Sampson was the name that I mentioned. You know, these guys had decorated college careers as well, right? I mean, Bill Walton with UCLA, you know, part of that incredible run of 2 national titles and 88 straight wins. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And the NBA titles. But, you know, Embiid doesn't have the same resume outside. Because remember, this is the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. And so you know, Yao Ming is on this list, but a decorated international player as well, a FIBA Hall of Famer as well. I mean, I know Joel Embiid has the gold medal, but he wasn't the central piece to that, you know, that gold medal winning team. You know, with Sampson and Walton, they had the decorated college careers with Sampson at Virginia and Walton at UCLA. So Embiid does not have that to go along with his NBA resume, which is very good, but just not enough. It just doesn't get him over the top. So I'm with you. Let's move on to you know, speaking of big men and Victor Wembanyama, he's got some help. He's got a sidekick that's going to be with him for a number of years. And I know you talked about this a little bit on Boston's end of the chat this morning. De'Aaron Fox signing a 4-year, $229 million max contract extension. So this Spurs roster now is pretty young, pretty exciting. And now they got Fox and Wemby playing together for years to come. What do you think?
I mean, I love this deal. When De'Aaron Fox opted out of he exercised to opt out of his player option that he could have picked up because he wanted to get paid after this past season, and decided bet on himself. If he gets all NBA, then obviously he'd be up for the Supermax. But he gets traded. Couldn't be a better situation than the Spurs. If Victor Wembanyama, all his health concerns are behind him, as he'll enter year 3, if he is fully available for the Spurs, he'll be a top 5 player in this league. De'Aaron Fox and him pair up excellent on the floor. And this is now a team where it's a backcourt of Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sochan as a small 4, Victor Wembanyama and Luke Cornett. A lot of scoring, a lot of defense, a lot of length. And I love this nucleus. And Harrison Barnes, along with De'Aaron Fox, is those veteran mentors of this really young roster.
Sure.
And I bet, again, they go in at the deadline. This is a smart deal. This is great for De'Aaron Fox. It's now we've gotten to the point with the NBA. If you're not making $60 million a year, it's wow, that's underpaid. I thought for De'Aaron Fox, I'm wait, he only got $229 million? That's over $50 a year. This is a fantastic deal, and this is great for him. So I love it. Love the signing. I like that he ends up there. It's cool when the Spurs are relevant, but I just love that Victor Wembanyama has a really good nucleus around him, and someone like De'Aaron Fox pairs up perfect with him.
Yeah, and how happy is Fox to be out of Sacramento, right? And how much does Domantas Sabonis miss his buddy De'Aaron Fox? I mean, that's crazy, how things work out. But, yeah, to your point, I mean, you said it in terms of the Spurs roster. It's young and exciting. I do wonder, though, and again, maybe this is a good thing for Dylan Harper, right? Number 2 overall pick. You don't have as much pressure on you as you would have if you were asked to be sort of the man, in the point guard position. But De'Aaron Fox certainly takes off some of that pressure. And you got the last 2 rookies of the year on your roster in Wemby and Stephon Castle. I mean, it's a young, exciting Spurs team. So the only thing, the question is, it's like, all right, well, they're good, they're young, they're exciting, but how good are they? Can they compete in this Western Conference for a Western Conference title, go to the NBA Finals? I don't think they're there yet, based on, what the West is stacked. Obviously the big deal was Kevin Durant to Houston. Denver made some moves as well. I mean, they're going to be right up there. So, and the Clippers, I joked about them being old, but there is a lot of talent. If they can stay upright going into the postseason, they're not a team to be trifled with either. So I think that, and by the way, the defending champion, Oklahoma City Thunder, not to leave them out either. Right. They're bringing everybody back. They're running it back. So they're going to be right there as well. So Spurs will be young, they'll be exciting, but I don't think they're ready to compete for the Western Conference title yet.
No, and their time will come. I think Stephon Castle still needs to maturate and develop a consistent shot. Vassell and Keldon Johnson have a long way to go. Dylan Harper, he could be leading the second unit. He has to buy into that role. He also needs to learn how to play in an NBA system, because Rutgers, it was all hero ball between him and Ace Bailey, and it worked to a point. We had Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, and they didn't even make the tournament. So again, how much of an impactful player are you? It's still young in the early stages, but the good thing is, I think when all those guys time out of hitting their peak, maybe they flip some pieces and the roster won't look the same. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox will still be young, still under contract, and him and Wemby will just build their chemistry. I give it, not this season, not year 3 of Wemby, I think year 4 of Wemby, I'm ready to start the contending conversation.
Yeah, and that's probably in line where, Oklahoma City is going to have to make some decisions, right, in terms of some of the contracts. And, that's the vicious cycle in the NBA. We talked the first part about the second apron and and all this sort of tax talk, but it's a huge factor in how business is done in the NBA. And so I think you're right. All right. So speaking of business deals, could be a big one that brings a WNBA team to Boston. That's next. Welcome back to Hold My Banner. Some potentially big news as a group led by Celtics minority owner Steve Pagliuca has made a deal to buy the WNBA's Connecticut Sun and move the team to Boston as soon as 2027. That report coming from Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe. The deal has to be approved by the WNBA, and so that would be an exciting prospect of having the Connecticut Sun become the Boston Sun, or maybe have a different name and call TD Garden home. And George, we've seen the success of the two games that were played at TD Garden, most recently against the Indiana Fever, and having Caitlin Clark in town and banging that place out. What do you think about the prospect of the Sun moving to Boston?
I absolutely love it. I think definitely Boston's a city that's hungry for more basketball. I mean, just think of how they pack out for the Boston Celtics, and what the WNBA does right is their season picks up when the NBA season ends. So as people still want basketball games, they want more. If it's a playoff run, if it's a NBA championship run, they want more. And the popularity of the league that's grown, a building like TD Garden is a perfect size for it, and a city like Boston is a perfect size for it as well. I'm dumb. I didn't know it was a Connecticut Sun because they're owned by the Mohegan Sun. I was just like, yeah, Connecticut Sun, it works out. And then finally, when this team was up for sale, and I hear Boston Sun, which I don't hate. Sun rises in the east, it rises over the Boston Harbor. Keep them as a Sun. That's fine. I think it'll work out perfect. I just love that a WNBA team could come to Boston. But I also loved this article where the WNBA was like, well, Pags, you could buy it, but our preference is a Mohegan Sun picks someone in Connecticut, because they want to keep it in Connecticut. Because at the end of the day, Adam, everything is business. Even though they're being purchased for a reported $350 million, the WNBA would rather have the Connecticut Sun be purchased for $350 million and then save that Boston expansion team for 2033, when you probably have to pay, let's say, double it real quick. And they know they're leaving money on the table, and they don't want to look bad to a San Fran that had to bid for a team, Detroit who's getting a team, Philadelphia who's getting a team. Because those cities went through the process. Steve Pagliuca is just trying to cut the line with making money talk.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, I think there's no question that the business side of things is a major factor, and it's not a fait accompli, but again, it'll be interesting. I think, you bring up the name. And again, it's fun to play this sort of hypothetical about, would they change now? You look at some of the NBA teams across the league, and it's sort of a play on the NBA team, right? And the team names, like the New York Liberty, obviously, with the Statue of Liberty. You mentioned the Connecticut Sun, the Mohegan Sun. If it was Boston, could they be something Boston related, like the Boston Shamrocks? To sort of match up with the Celtics, or
don't hate it.
Or something else. I'm just thinking on the fly here about Boston landmarks and what would make sense, or would that be too cheesy? Would you want to keep the name? Would you be down with keeping the name, or would you want to think of something else that's more Boston-ish?
One I thought of was the Boston Beacons. It'd be like a beacon of light. It'd be like a lighthouse, right? There's Beacon Hill,
which is that's UMass Boston now. That's the only thing, UMass Boston, and again, it's a college, different.
Respectfully to UMass Boston. Like, I don't want to disrespect any universities, guys. Like, no, this is a pro team. This is a pro program. Let them take the Boston Beacon. But I get it. I get it. So I play nice. All right, maybe we can't do Beacons. The Sun you could keep. Right. I was trying to think, like, what is something, the iconic monument of Boston? There's the Zakim Bridge. I don't know if that's iconic.
Right. Yeah,
Store
Faneuil
Drive.
Hall, right?
Yeah. Like, what are you going to call it? The Boston Market?
Yeah.
Easy title sponsor. Title sponsor. Jersey patch. I'm thinking of Quincy Market.
Yeah, and leave like chowder and beans and like lobsters out of it. Like, that's played out.
Corny.
The Patriots say don't call them the Revolutionaries. I don't think that would work either.
It would, the MLS.
Yeah. Do you think the Shamrock? Do you think the Shamrocks? I mean, the Shamrocks. I don't know. That's okay. It's not bad. It would be too. Yeah.
Exactly. It's okay. I want to give them a good name. We have time to think about it. And I don't think the Sun is the worst thing ever. Like, it's East Coast. The sun rises over the harbor as like the lobster fisherman from Maine rolls into Boston, like delivers stuff to Union Oyster House. You know what I mean? Like, it all works. I'm just like the Freedom Trail. Like, that's, you can't name, as is New York Liberty after the Statue of Liberty. You're not going to call them like the Boston Trail, the Boston Freedom.
No. That's ridiculous. Boston Common. You're not going to call that. Travis, our own Travis Thomas, the name that he likes?
Yeah, I hate it. He likes a blizzard.
Yeah, the Boston.
They play in the summertime. It's not a hockey team. The Utah were about to be the blizzard, or the ice, because I don't know. He keeps saying it, and I'm like, dude, no, they play basketball in the summertime. You're gonna wear a blizzard jersey. It just sounds like a AHL hockey team, the Blizzard. Or like Arena Football League team, the Blizzard. Like, no, it's not a WNBA team.
Yeah. But, I mean, if it doesn't go through, 2033 is a long time, man. 8 years from now, you're going to wait 8 years for a WNBA team? I mean, that's kind of crazy, right?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And this is a team, again, like, the WNBA wants them to stay in Connecticut, again, because they want there to be a bigger bid from Boston. But it's like, from the beginning, you made the mistake of having a professional team in the middle of Connecticut. Like, that drive from Boston to Connecticut on a weeknight is absolutely terrible. More populated area is Boston. Like, I'll go with we're in the big city. Like, we're better than, I'll go with that angle a little bit here. But like, they should have been in Boston from the get to get into that market. And it could be a team. You then give a WNBA team NBA facilities. You figured out how it makes it work with the Celtics. You have them in TD Garden, figure out how that makes it work with the Bruins and the Celtics. There would be some overlap at some point, but it fits. It fits the fanfare, everything around it. You'd rather go to TD Garden than the Mohegan Sun on a weeknight to go catch a game.
Yeah, and a $325 million offer goes along with contributing $100 million to a practice facility. In the event the Celtics or Bruins are playing and there's a conflict, Providence is an option, right? I mean, back in the day, the Celtics used to play in Hartford, right? When there was a conflict, oddly enough, playing in Connecticut. But they could definitely make it work.
Go Boston Whalers? To give a little percentage to the Hartford Whalers?
Oh, yeah. I think too much of
You
the
like
Hartford Whalers.
it.
Yeah, it's too much. I think, as being old school, I think too much of the Hartford Whalers, or would remind me too much of the Whalers. I mean, obviously the Fleet, that's a great name. That was perfect for the PWHL team. They nailed that one. And it's,
you have the Fleet, you have the Whalers. The Whalers can have like a Kelly green color to them. Look, I get it. Yeah. The Hartford Whalers, the NHL team, but like they haven't been a team for like 87 years. We got to let go at some point. Let the Whalers live on.
Yeah, well, the Hurricanes won't let the Whalers die when they do their throwback jerseys, their alternate jerseys, and they bring that back, which irritates me every single time. I do not like seeing the Hurricanes wear the old Whalers. Yeah, I don't like it, but anyway, yeah, all right. Well, I mean, Connecticut Sun, that would be. I mean, it would be great. I just think 8 years, having to wait 8 years. For an expansion team would be way too long. And I think the WNBA is really, on the rise, and now would be the opportunity to do it. But what do I know, George? What do I know? I think we'd both agree, though, that the Blizzard is not the right name. That is not.
Thank you. It's unanimous. Yeah. I agree. I love Trav. He has so many great ideas. I love waking up with him every morning on chat. But when he said Boston Blizzard, I'm like, dude, what is this? Come on. Yeah, the Utah, like the Utah Mammoth, right? The Utah Yetis, whatever the heck they're called. They could have been the Utah Mammoth, Blizzard, not Boston. Yeah, they're the Mammoth, right? Yeah. Not Boston. No Blizzard for Boston.
No, good stuff. All right, well, that'll about wrap things up here on Hold My Banner. Had a good time talking about the Celtics, and I'm sure that next time we meet, we'll be talking about another mock trade proposal that may or may not work for the Celtics, and we'll talk more about Jayson Tatum and the potential of him coming back early. All of these sort of summer topics when you're 8 weeks outside of the start of training camp. That's what you talk about, George.
I know. It's a time. Let as much as I say stop talking about it, Jayson Tatum, I want updates on your Achilles every single day. Go to every basketball camp. Don't jog, don't run.
Yeah, don't run,
keep talking about it.
Take it easy. All right, we'll see you next time. I'll Hold My Banner. Peace.
Awesome.